My people, my people, my people, my people, my people, my people, my people. Oh my gosh. We're back for another edition, another episode of Don't Forget to Flush podcast. That podcast, your podcast, that is all about the African Renaissance, is all about culture, commentary, and of course, fan favorite, toilet seat conversations. And so today, I'm very excited because I'm coming at you all one more time from the fantastic city of Houston. Houston in the building. That's where I'm at. And of course, with none other than the myth, the legend, the guy who everybody sees, but at the same time, they're like, where did this guy, what is happening right now? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to be here with none other than Prof B.
Woohoo!
Welcome to the show, Prof B.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, this is good. It's good to have you. And you're like the representation of Houston. You know, it's like, you know what? I feel like let's get into it. So I'm out here trying to talk to you in Houston, and thank you so much for being gracious and opening your doors. I'm right here in your house. A big shout out to the madam and the kids for letting me come disturb you. But very excitingly, there's no better place to start this interview than to talk about the fact that it is Prof B. You know, people will be like, who's Prof B? Why Prof B? Like, what is the prof? Is it professor? Is it professional? Is it professing? Like, what is the Prof B? So let's start from there. Prof B, how? How did we even get here?
So thank you so much. Don't Forget to Flush has been one of those podcasts that I've really followed, and I absolutely love the content. So it's a big honor, big privilege to be on here. I don't take it for granted. So thank you. Prof B. So I get that question a lot. Why Prof B? Where did it come from? All that. So
did your parents give you the name Prof B? Like, which one? Was it your mom that said B and your father said Prof?
Oh man, so I hope that my wife never gets to
She's gonna listen to this episode, so you might as well just tell the
my
kids
goodness,
now.
I hope that she never gets to listen to this. But the name Prof B came from, so I finished school early. I was pretty young when I finished college.
Okay.
And so when I finished at the time, well, not actual college, I actually went to Yaba Tech, which was a polytechnic in Nigeria. So I don't know how I'll make the reference to.
I think the equivalent would be like a technical school,
right?
Offers like when people say they have a diploma.
Exactly.
You know, like they have a 2-year diploma, but there's a 4-year version. Like, I think that's
something like that.
It's
exactly.
very British,
right? Yeah, it's pretty British. So I went to a polytechnic, and when I got done, I taught in a school, a high school in Nigeria called St. Finbar's College in Lagos.
Okay.
So I taught there for about 2 years. And while I was teaching, I was pretty young. And so, I mean, I'll tell everybody my name is Caleb, Mr. Caleb.
Caleb, that's the name that we're looking for. Now we can find you on Social Security.
So Caleb, but now the thing is, the students, because they could tell that many of them were like my age mates, you know, and they knew I wasn't that much older than them. So a lot of them would call me Caleb. They would just say Caleb. And in Nigeria at the time, calling a teacher by his name just like that is kind of like very disrespectful. But I didn't mind. But the
institution had
I
mean, culturally, you can't just call somebody who's your teacher. You know, it's not like you're in the US. You're in Nigeria, where respect, people lie down on the floor just to say good morning. You know?
Exactly.
The dobale, which is like, if you're listening, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about prostrating on the floor and you know,
just to say hello.
Yeah, you know. So,
so
how would you be calling the teacher by
his first name? So that was a challenge. So at the time, I started looking for ways to make them just call me something else apart from just my name. So I said, call me Professor. So that's where Professor came. So Professor. But it was a boys only school. So because it was a boys only school, every time I was teaching them chemistry, a pretty difficult course.
Wow.
But I was teaching them chemistry, and then I started using a lot of girl references in teaching them. It was a boys only school, so I want to teach about rates of chemical reaction. I talk about boys and girls coming together, the rate of that. So I try to create all those things just to make them understand. So that is
what a bad teacher. If that is what you have to do to get them to listen, First of all, I have questions about what kind of students are these? What kind of school is this? And more importantly, how bad of a teacher are you? That is your reference. You're using birds and bees to...
I promise you. So, back then it was a lot of it was a government school then.
Okay.
It is changed now, but it is now private. I think it's private owned by the missionary. But back in the day, it used to be a government school.
And this is a school in Lagos, Nigeria, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it was a very rough school.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them were way older. Like these are guys that should have been done with high school 6 years earlier or 5 years earlier. So I just needed to get through to them. And so I felt like using those girl references were really working on them.
Yeah.
They were able to picture it in their mind. So
of course, it's easy to picture.
Exactly.
All boys school, older than they should be.
Exactly.
You use female references. They're like, we get
this is our guy.
This chemistry.
So
we love you.
And so they started calling me Professor of Babes.
This. I think we just started the podcast, and this podcast has spiraled out of control.
That's why my wife was not here.
I'm sorry, man. You already put it in here, and I am not gonna edit it. Did you say that the B is? I think my producer is telling me that I should just end the podcast. We can't even get past your name,
bro.
We haven't even gotten past your name,
bro.
And all they're saying is, wait, did you say Professor of Babes?
Man.
Which is the female reference to ladies. And you were teaching what again?
And I was teaching not even biology. That's the worst part.
You were teaching chemistry, and you got the name of Professor of Babes.
And
we have questions.
So, of course, I couldn't let any student call me Professor of Babes out there. The institution will go mad.
Institution will go mad, or you lose your job. You're putting it mildly by saying that it is the institution that will go mad. That is very mild. The impact is that you're losing your job.
Easy. So I told them, all right, guys, just call me Prof B. And so Prof B just became a thing, and then Prof B just stuck. So when anybody asked me officially what Prof B is, I tell them my name is Caleb. Everybody uses their first initial. I use my last.
Wow. See logic. Thank you for the wine that you gave me, but now I understand why you fed me wine, because I'm like, the plan for this podcast episode was supposed for us to talk about you, but now I'm like, I have questions. Are you in therapy? Are you seeing a doctor? Like, what is going on? Okay, so you are using the last letter of Caleb as your definition for Prof B.
Correct.
Considering how you got to Prof of Babes, I think you did it. It's a wise choice. Great job. Great job. Wow.
Yeah. So please, don't forget to flush. We are flushing this one out.
Yes. Consider this flush, producer. I am sorry. I wasn't... This is why people should ask questions before they show up to do an interview.
Oh my goodness.
We haven't even gone 5 minutes and we're already like wondering to ourselves what just happened. Okay, sorry, my bad. All right, so getting back on track. Prof B, wow. But thank you for being honest about, how you arrived here. And there was not even anything preparing me for the fact that you actually taught in a school and, chemistry of all courses. Was that what you studied? I can't help myself, but I have to ask, was that like your background? Was it in sciences?
Right. So at the time when I was teaching, I studied science laboratory technology in the OND, which is the Ordinary National Diploma.
Yeah, within the Polytechnic system.
Right.
Yeah, which is like the 2-year.
Which was the 2-year thing. So I studied science lab tech, but after did the 1-year IT internship, then I did another 2 years for microbiology. So yes, I did a lot of chemistry, and so I've always loved chemistry, biology, and all the science subjects. So yeah, I was pretty grounded.
Yeah, and besides, we were teaching like high school,
right? People getting ready to get into college.
Into college,
right?
It was like that is amazing. So with that in mind, then how did you, because I was going to ask about your family now, but for you then, how did MCing then? Because this is a push from teaching and sciences and now MCing, being a comedian. Tell us how that transition or that journey was like.
True story. So I don't like using was, but I think I'm a very brilliant person.
You are.
Yes.
And trust me, at this point, we are sure about your brilliance. we are convinced. Not only did you help boys understand chemistry by talking about babes, they called you Professor of Babes, and then you even found a way of explaining it. So trust me,
I promise you,
we are convinced. You don't have to tell us you are smart. You are.
Yeah. So, I always loved arts. Loved arts because of my dad. He lectured in University of Lagos as in English and literature. So I've always loved arts. But it's a common saying. Back in the day, I mean, your age, my age, it was either you were a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, or most likely a disgrace to your family. So,
okay. Everybody says this. I was here in Houston the other time and I was talking with the other comedian, Kanis, and he said the same thing. He called it failure. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys are seeing this, but shout out to the fact that I'm in Houston and I've been giving wine again and I'm listening to some weird story, but please go ahead.
No, so I always told my dad I loved what he did. He told me, no, you have to be a doctor. You have to be a doctor. With this mind, you have to be a doctor. So, and again, I had the brain to do it. So I went ahead and, studied dentistry. Eventually, I finished as a dentist, but arts has always been a part of me. In high school, I was the only science student in my entire set that did literature.
Which is a subject that most kids
mostly arts.
Yeah, who in the arts field.
Right. So I did literature and I passed it. It was, so I've always loved art. So once I got done with, actually, when I now got into college, where I didn't know I was going to do anything, emceeing, comedy, nothing like that. But when I got into college, my parents hit like a rocky patch in their lives. It was really, really difficult for them. So I always tell people, and they think it's a joke, but it's not. Hunger drove me to emceeing and comedy.
I'm not going to laugh because I'm just like...
I'm 100% serious. Yeah, I was in college. It was hard. I told my mom when I was going into college for the first time, you can imagine I was going to a new city. I'd never been there before. And I was leaving Lagos. I got only transportation to take me to Ife from Lagos, and which is in Osun State. And then I told my mom to give me food stuff. So I just took all that with me.
Grocery stuff and all that.
Right. So once I got to college, I was broke my first day in college. I was broke.
Wow.
I had food. So
you just came with grocery and you were like, I'm here to go to school. I don't have money to pay for anything else, but I can cook.
So I got into my hostel, made friends very quickly, shared all my food, made it very open. Wow. Again, being smart, I just told myself, like, if you eat this food alone, eventually you would die alone. So I opened up the food, made everybody in the room.
Man.
Yeah, so I opened it up. We all ate my food. And so eventually when the food finished,
everybody was like, come through.
Yeah, this guy was.
Yeah,
and that's just how that was. But so when I went for orientation event, just freshers orientation, I was a fresher. Went to my department orientation event, and MC was there. He was cracking jokes, and and they said, "Oh, if anybody here has any talent, come out." And I was telling this beautiful lady beside me at the time, I was like, I can make people laugh. She was like, yeah, that's what everybody says. I said, nah, I can actually do it. She said, all right, go. So
you got the energy of the professor of this. Oh my God.
But the name was still working for me at the time. So, I just
Prof
went
B,
to the guy. Luckily, the guy who came up before me, terrible. He was doing comedy. He had no idea what he was saying. I don't think he understood the joke that
he was trying to.
So it was a very easy thing. I just went there and I just trolled the guy. It was just easy. I didn't do any set. I just went there and I just
trolled the guy who came in. You see, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if we should release this episode of this podcast because not only do we have your wife saying she has questions, we have kids from the school you taught them having questions. Now you're admitting to trolling a young man who was just trying to make his way in the world. Oh my God. What an episode, ladies and gentlemen. Only in Houston. It's only in Houston. Every time I come out here, I have an episode to talk about.
Something happened. Something crazy happens.
So that happened, and that just started your journey into
the
MC.
guy, the MC guy. He was like, I absolutely loved your work. I have another thing coming tomorrow. Can you come through? I went, did the same thing. It was awesome. And then he started taking me around, and then other people started booking me on their own. Oh, we have this orientations party. Do you want to come MC it? And so that is how I started. 2,000, 3,000, and then I started getting money, and that's just how.
But true to your form, though, true to your form as an academic, because that's, you're somebody who's, how you able to translate, what you learn to other kids. There must have been some influences then, because as these bookings started coming, there must have been people who now, maybe they influenced you prior to, or they became the people that you are now looking at. Were there those kinds of influences then in how you've now come through full circle, as it were, in your career?
So I was one of those people at the time that was, because I read a lot. Now, I didn't have video or anything, but I read about Steve Harvey.
Wow.
And so Steve Harvey was a big push for me. This was a man who started out with stand-up comedy and then just evolved into a all-around host.
Yeah.
And this guy just hosting all the major. I mean, this is the guy that gave the award to the wrong person.
Hey,
and it was called the next year.
And he was called the next year to come and rectify it. I mean, that is a learning for all of us MC folks.
Do you understand? He's so good at his work that he was even able to make that error and still got away with it.
So he was inspiring you like when you were younger, or as you were.
So while I was in college and I read about him, I was like, I absolutely love this guy.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He has a great mind. He's not just your regular comedian that just curses.
Yeah.
He's all rounded, and and then I was just able to, and I saw the mentorship things over time. When I started watching him, eventually I started seeing all the things and how he's been evolving. And even till date, I still tailor my life as a comedian or MC toward Steve Harvey.
So growing up then, this through the lens of college, were there other people that maybe, because you couldn't have said it was just hunger. There must have been some, and I'm just the one assuming that maybe as a kid, there were folks who locally or in Nigeria, or folks that you related with, or maybe even as you started doing more of this comedy, did you have those kinds of influence?
So at the time, I'm very, as most have known, I'm very honest when it comes to just speaking. When I first started out, I didn't know how to write jokes, how to come up with my material. No, it was just Night of 1,000 Laughs at the time. I'll see comedians like Basket Mouth. It was a big comedy event, in Nigeria. Yeah. So I'll see comedians like Basket Mouth, MC Basket Mouth. There's a very old Ali Baba, and those were the guys that I would hear their material and then I would just copyright it at the time in college. But after a while, I started like, oh, this is not difficult. All you have to do is just
sort of reading in between the lines on how their jokes are structured and how they're
and I was like, if they're saying their stories like this, I have all these stories around me. And so I started, but those were my initial influences. So I did a lot of Alibaba growing up. I did a lot of basketball growing up, so those were the influences at the time. And then over time, I started figuring out, okay, this is how you get the stories, and then I started trying them out, and then I saw that this is the way to go.
That is awesome. So let me shift into this culture commentary, which is the other segment that we try to introduce on Don't Forget to Flush. And as somebody because from anyone who's listening right now, ladies and gentlemen, it's Don't Forget to Flush, yes. And you're listening to us talk with Prof B out here in Houston. So if you're just diving into the show from this point, that's where we are. But more importantly, as folks have listened already, they know your journey and your arc started off from in Nigeria, in Africa, and you moved over to the US. So let me ask you this from a cultural perspective then. I've always been curious about this point. And from your perspective as a comedian, it would be interesting to hear. Everyone says Houston is Niger Central or Nigeria Central, right? Everybody says, hey, this is your own this is as good as saying that, you know, you moved from Lagos and you just came into Houston. You know, I had the other comedian some time ago who's also based in Houston saying, hey, you know, this is Nigeria Junior, you know, the junior of Nigeria, you know, that kind of thing. But from your perspective then, what have you learned about Houston, right? So I'm just sort of pivoting to this culture commentary. Like, culturally, what would you say about Houston overall, you know?
There are, I just read this recently. I heard that there are about 5 million Nigerians.
Wow.
In Houston.
So this is where everybody is. This is where the rest of all the people that we've been looking for, all the people that we've been looking for, this is where they are. I get it. Okay.
So when you get 5 million of your people in a particular place, and you think that you flew over different rivers and oceans to get here, and then only to now come here and see 5 million of your people.
5 million, wow.
You know that
that is half of Lagos. Oh, okay, maybe
nah,
Lagos
but
is
official
count is like a quarter. Unofficial count is like, you know, it's just like 10% of what the population is.
God knows, but because of the demographic of Nigerians in Houston, there's this tendency to forget. You know, so when I first came, I was working in a home health agency, and all the people that I was working with were mostly Nigerians. Like, I had like almost, but it was just like maybe one Hispanic or one, you know, so but
predominantly Nigerian.
So I would see myself speaking Yoruba language. I'll speak
which
Pidgin.
is one of the languages in Nigeria. And
I'll speak Pidgin, which is a broken English. So I did that, and I just forgot that I was in America for a while, you know. And then I'll go to these events, and it's all glamorous, and it's all Nigerians. So you always tend to, but the truth is, having moved to this side of town where I'm at, we're the only black family
on your street, pretty much
in my street.
Wow.
You know, so then you now remember
the culture shock. You begin to feel the pulse of being in a foreign
land.
Yeah, in
Correct.
a foreign land.
So now I feel it. Now I remember. Now it's not just like business as usual. There's now that sense of, oh, okay, you're the only person now. You look odd amongst all these people. My son comes home, tells me that, oh, everybody in my school is peach.
He's seen less kids that look like him.
Yeah, everybody in my school is peach. Why am I brown? And I'm like, bro, first of all, you're black.
Okay. You go blunt on the kids. That is interesting, and I don't even want to begin to get into how old.
That was in my mind. No, I didn't tell.
Oh, thank God, thank God, because I mean, your track record on this podcast, Prof B, your track record on this podcast hasn't been great. Okay, so let's just put it out there. We appreciate you being on the show, but I'm just saying, after what you started the show with, anything you say that is happening in your life, we're going to have to believe.
Man.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. So let me ask you this other thing though. So you know, if you now think about it though, how does that influence your career right here as not just an entrepreneur, but as somebody who does comedy and you host events? Because you did host events in Nigeria, right? So you're hosting events here now. What would you say has been the similarities, if at all, or maybe differences, or you know, between both experiences then?
So initially, when I first got here, I was riding this high horse. I did a lot of corporate events in Nigeria. You would probably not hear Prof B in the comedy space or anything, but I did a lot of corporate events, and I made some good money. I felt like I could speak well. My accent wasn't very thick Nigerian. I felt like I was just very balanced, and I was riding on this high horse. Like, once you get here, you're just gonna,
you know, just say no.
Right. But then I mean, I promise you, it was a cultural shock even for me personally, because the first wedding that I did, Nigerian wedding, I came in with this Nigerianness in me, and I wanted to go, but the styles it was nobody. Everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. Like, where did this animal come from? Do you
Just lack of
understand?
familiarity, yeah.
Because I was just not polished. I wasn't what they needed, what they are used to hear. They so I was just very, very rough around the edges and everything.
Yeah.
So over time I have found that I have changed as an MC. I'm no longer as rough or so as I would say I was. Now I speak more. I speak calmly. I am able to. I just feel like I'm a better MC right now. And even in terms of comedy, for me personally, one of the things that I'm working towards right now is breaking into the American community. So I am learning their culture. Now, like I said, I live in this predominantly Caucasian community. So I'm going to their comedy clubs. I'm watching what other comedians are doing. What makes all these people around here laugh? What is funny
what
to
is
them?
really funny to them? How does that work?
So I'm in that place where I'm just learning and gathering what works for them. And so I'm testing those types of things as it relates to me. I'm testing those out right now, and and again, it's working in the career, because now I've been doing a lot more American events because they are able to relate more to me than they used to back in the day.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So let's get into a fun segment that we call Dinkba and Diva, right? And if there was a lady on the podcast, there's a predominant, they tend to want to be divas in the context of the example. Dinkba is in Igbo, which is an Igbo language from West Africa, and which the listeners, and if anybody's listening new, that is what we do. And so Dinkba means strong man, able man, that kind of thing. But in this case, it's Dinkba and Dinkba, as it were.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that. So how we do on this segment is you have to pick an accent. So I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to pick any accent. You can't take the Igbo accent. And in your case, okay, maybe not necessarily the Yoruba accent. So you have to find an accent and answer the question in that accent.
Okay.
And so while you're thinking about it, I just want to let the listeners know that please do find us on social media. We're on Instagram as Don't4, get, EGET, 2, flush. Don't forget to flush on Instagram. On Facebook is just to add the letter P at the end. So it's Don't Forget to Flush P. On Facebook is Don't Forget to Flush, which is just straight up English written out. And, please send us an email. We receive emails and we're always excited and thankful when we hear that. It's Don't Forget to Flush pod@gmail.com, which is the number 4 and the number 2. So, hey guys, just follow us and keep in touch. So, Prof B, with that in mind, you ready for the Dinkba and Dinkba show?
Let's go.
Let's go on this segment. So, let me get into my groove. I tend to use the Igbo accent, which is where I'm from and my heritage, and I try to put it in. And so I super emphasize it. And so here goes. So Prof B, good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Thank you for everything that you have told us today, because now I feel like I hold the key to your blackmail. Especially when people come out and they say, it's defamation lawsuit. How can you say that you were teaching us about babes instead of chemistry? But let's not go there. So Prof B, really, here's my question. People say that how can a comedian be a family man? In your case, you're a family man, wife, kids, entrepreneur, MC, comedian. Is it really possible? Like, how are you able to even do it all?
So here's my Calabar accent.
Okay.
For those of you, of course, listening, Calabar, it's another...
ethnic. Well, it's a place in Nigeria,
right?
But it's certain ethnic dialect thing,
right? And they have their own accents.
And this is in the south part of Nigeria. Southern part of Nigeria.
Nah, so are these young John?
Okay, I didn't expect that. Okay, let me get into mode. So Prof B, so tell us, family man and comedy.
My brother, I did young John. I want to tell you, it's not very easy. It's not easy. It's not very easy at all. Being a comedian and a family man is not easy. My wife, oh God, if I tell you some poisons about my wife, my wife, she like attention very, very much, and I'm even losing this accent right now.
First of all, I'm just wondering where you're going right now, because I'm like, your wife is the real MVP. And she's been the one who's been like manning the house when you travel.
She's holding it down. But you see, the thing is not easy. It's not easy at all. But as a man who has sense, you have to find a way to you have to find a way to balance it. You must balance it, and Ibok must balance it. And the only way you can balance it is you have to, whenever you are home, you have to try and make sure that you are present. You have a baby present. Present is good.
This is really good. This is a very thick Calabar accent that you're on right now. This is very good. But for real though, you were saying something about being home because this is a great advice for men who are in this same segment of people who have busy lives and traveling lives like yourself.
No, so the truth is, it's very important to be present. Present is not just about being home. Present is being seen, being available. So I travel a lot, most times from Friday to Sundays. Most times nobody sees me.
Weddings and all that.
And then during the week too, I mean mornings to evenings, my wife is gone to work. I'm also working. Kids are in daycare. So you have just a small window from like 6 to 10, 11 every day, Mondays through Thursdays to be seen. So just make it a point of contact to actually be present. That is not when you start receiving phone calls. That is not when you start being on the phone talking to this person, that person. That is not when you start being on your phone, going through social media and just being absent from. You need to be present. You need them to know that this is me, my children. Every time that I'm with them, I am fully engaged. I'm into them. We're playing, having, So, and my wife too, make sure that we put the kids to bed very early, say 8:30 at the latest. And so we have that from 8:30 to about 11, 12 to just hang.
So you're really proving the point. It is possible. Is it possible to be a family man and entrepreneur and doing all that and still being a part of comedy and MC? It's just about arranging your life pretty much.
Yes, you have to. And you have to be intentional. The thing about it is you just have to be intentional. You can't say, if you go through the motions, within 3 months, 6 months, you just find out that you and your wife have not done anything useful together.
True that.
So because the kids take your attention, this one is taking your attention, that is taking your attention. So you just have to be intentional. I have on my phone, I can show you the calendar. We have calendars set for every end of the month.
Wow.
We have to have a date night. So we have that set on our calendar. It's something that we're just intentional. And we put it on the calendar. So 3 days before, it gives me a beep.
Gives you a beep that tells you to start getting ready.
Get ready.
Make sure that you're available.
Because we can't say, it's just what we do, and you think, no, we still need those reminders. We're still intentional about it. Yeah.
That is so cool. I mean, this response that you gave is actually bringing us well into toilet seat conversations because, toilet seat conversation is all about deep thinking. That is where we believe that most ideas are formed on the toilet seat. So as we get into this segment, as we begin to round off, that is where it happens. So we have don't forget to flush. So we have toilet seat conversations, deep thinking. We're going to ask you something along those lines as we begin to round off our show overall is, a lot of Africans then are planning to move over to the United States or even Canada or the United Kingdom, and they do what we do, right? They do MCing. What would be your advice then to Africans moving over here and planning to be MCs or to be in the place of comedy?
I would say be careful. The first thing is, how are you doing in Africa? I know of certain guys in Africa presently that are my friends that if they decide to make that switch, I would fight them. I'll tell them that, why are you doing this? Because you have a great thing going on in Africa at this time.
Why come here and try to figure out minimum wage?
Do you understand?
The person you're trying to navigate is minimum wage.
Exactly. Yeah. So why? So first thing I'll say is be careful. Pray about it. Be sure that is what the plan is. This is what you're trying to get into next. And then the next thing I would say is whenever you do come here, it's very important to not ride that high horse coming here. Yeah. Just not just throw everything away, but just, keep an open mind. Come here, learn.
Watch, absorb the culture,
absorb it, learn the people, learn how it works now. Forget about what you know. There are certain games you play in Africa that just don't work well here. There are certain comments that you say in Africa.
Yeah, that are not.
Man, bro, I see not my pastor, but a pastor that I know. We're having a regular conversation. This man used the F word on me. I was like, ooh. But it wasn't a bad thing for him in his because from Africa, it's something that many times some people just say
people have accepted it because you watch the movies and there's some level of acceptance without deep thought.
So you see, but now here you just have to learn to and it's not just about just the F word or anything. It's about pretty much the entire, just being sensitive to the community. Now, the LGBT is not it's mostly more insensitive in Africa. When in Nigeria, people play about it a lot more there because there are not that many open,
at least out of fear and the restrictions of the government,
shame, all that. There's still like not that many open.
Yeah, so folks can sort of like apply themselves in those jokes.
But here, you need to be much more sensitive
and careful. And
because again. Exactly. Now, so those are the things. There are many things, many things. Women, you don't want to just, in Africa, there's a sense of ownership of women that is not acceptable, or that is not even true. It's not even correct in any part of the world. But here, you just have to be much more sensitive to things that you say.
Much more aware. And that's what you were talking about learning the culture and learning the play. Prof B, what an interview. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to come into your home and to talk to you and find out more about who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Prof B. Prof B, so tell us, how do people find you? Like, I know you're on social media. I know you're everywhere. But at the same time, I know you have some upcoming projects and some super secret things. What can you share with us?
So Prof B is Prof B Official on Instagram.
Prof B Official.
Yeah, Prof B Official on all platforms. Not all platforms, but on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. That's Prof B Official, all three of them. And that's it. I don't know TikTok.
Prof B Official.
Prof B Official. Yes.
That is. You don't do TikTok?
My brother.
You're still thinking about it. You're like, hey, if I go to this TikTok, would they catch me? Or let me find out. Let me find out if that's what I need.
I have my 600.
So what's coming up for Prof B? What's in the picture right now?
We have something that is really. I'm very big on giving back, and the big project that I'm working on presently is trying to work on a comedy. On a social media Instagram stand-up comedy competition.
Oh wow! Okay.
Where we have three judges, and then the contestant come up for the four.
That is brilliant.
And then we just it's gonna be free to come in. It's gonna be free to register, but all the way from Africa, Nigeria, Africa, anywhere around the world, even in the US.
Wow.
Whoever wins gets a chance to win like $1,000. The second prize $500, and then the third prize I think $300. So that's the way we're just trying to give back to the community,
to support others that are doing the craft. That is amazing, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Prof B. He's giving out money to support new comedians and upcoming comedians to actually find their voice using social media. I mean, he's right here killing the game, from entrepreneurship to being a family man and managing the kids and working closely with his wife and family and friends. And then on top of all of that, comedian, MC extraordinaire. 50 weddings a year, man. This dude is just like killing it. Thank you so much for being on the show. This is Don't Forget to Flush. And I'm looking forward to more wine, getting more wine because you decided to offer it. I need the wine because I need to be able to make sure I'm not going to remember the definition of Prof B. So that people have to, you know what, let's go get that more wine. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us on the show, man. Peace out. Prof B, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Prof B Official.
Yes,
that's
sir.
what we got. Yeah, man. Peace.